All right, so next up in the calendar for the Yeezys is the restock of the Yeezy Slide. Now, just like the aliens I was mentioning before, these came out at the end of 2019 and they restocked in some new colors in the spring. Now, this is also something I was looking at because I was looking at some new slides or flip flops because I was going on a cruise. Rest in peace, the cruise never happened this year. But I was supposed to be going on a cruise and I needed some new sandals. And these Yeezy slides, these are actually the most affordable Yeezy you can get if you can get it for retail. These retail for $55, which is actually not that bad compared to like some other higher end, like this name brand slides or flip flops. Like you think of Puma, you can think of Nike. Some of these can range anywhere from $30 to $60. So this may be the higher end of that range. Oh, Crocs. Can't forget Crocs. That's probably the most iconic slide style out there. But in that range, these still fall within kind of a normal range. Now, the sizing on these is very interesting. I was thinking, all right, so going through my journey, I just established my new shoe size, 10 and a half. With the Yeezys, I went up with the 380. I went with an 11. Totally fine. That is my Yeezy size, is an 11. All right. And through the rest of the year, totally fine, except this one. Now, the website, I didn't pay attention originally when I got this because this wasn't through the Adidas app. This was on adidas.com. I guess, because they restocked in a different color over the summer. So they first had slides in the spring, then they had more slides in the summer. And when I read it the second time, it said order at least one full size bigger than normal. Because what I first did was, I'm a 10 and a half a size up for Yeezys. Good. So with the slide, I went with an 11, just like the rest of them. It is ever so slightly too tight. And I think it's more narrow. It's not the length, because the length of it is perfectly fine. It's a bit more narrow, just because the top part here is more rigid. Even though this is very squishy, it does take a little bit more, like about a week to really wear them in, and then they get comfortable. But it's the width in the middle. I think, I don't know, anybody that's a sneakerhead, I want you to comment on this. I may consider cutting a little slice right down the middle of this to give my foot a little bit more room width-wise. Because length-wise, this is totally fine. There is this bump. And I don't know if you guys can see it in there. Let me just see. It's kind of in the shadow, but you kind of can see it. It's right in here. There's a little bump. And in that little bump, that's what kind of pushes into my foot and makes these feel narrow. I can't get my foot all the way through to the very end. But that's fine because my foot still fits in lengthwise. They're just ever so slightly too narrow. Now, because they are so narrow, I've tried to stretch them out, but because they are so narrow, that's probably why the Adidas website, when you buy these, they say get at least one full size up. So theoretically, I'm a 10 and a half. That means I should be getting an 11 and a half. They don't make these in half sizes. Usually slides are whole sizes. So I would need a 12. Going back to the 12. So if they ever come out again, I might try and get these in a 12. But for right now, and it's gonna be odd, and I would definitely film it. I might do a little snip right down the middle there just to give it a little bit more width, and then I think this will be totally fine. So Adidas, if you are watching, or Yeezy, if you are watching, make this a little bit wider, just so you don't have to put that message on your website that says get at least one size bigger, maybe more. If you just made this a little wider, the standard shoe size for this may work. So an 11, it definitely would work for me lengthwise, it's just slightly narrow. So keep that in mind if you ever want to go for the Yeezy slide. And overall, I do like this design. Not everybody does, but I do. It's very simplistic, a light sand. So overall, I do really like the slide. It's nice and squishy. It may not be the most comfortable out there, but it's definitely the most comfortable slide I've ever worn because of how squishy it is. It does take a little getting used to and to break it in, and it is narrow, so definitely go at least one size, and if you're a half size like me, a 10.5, go a size and a half up. So a 10.5 would become a 12. Otherwise, I may just decide to cut this down the middle to open it up a little bit more to make it a little bit more comfortable just because I'm kind of stuck with it at the moment. So that's my overall with the slide. Let's continue on now. All right, so next up, this is a very interesting one. This is something I tried to get a different sneaker for this, but it didn't work out, which was one of the raffles that I can't say I didn't win because in the beginning, I kept going back and forth. Should I get a 10.5? Should I get an 11? Should I get a 10.5 and 11? I signed up, I think, for the 10.5. And then that morning, I tried to switch it to an 11, kind of like my standard Yeezy size. And once I left the raffle, there was so much internet traffic that Adidas crashed, and I could not get back in. So I don't count that as an L just because I couldn't get back in. But I did try elsewhere, so that's where the L came from, the loss, essentially. But this one was the 700 MNVN, which is for Modern Vision. And that was the black, the triple black MNVN. I tried to get that because I was intending it to be kind of like because it was more of a neoprene looking material. I was intending that to be a outdoor bad weather kind of Yeezy. Just because of that, didn't get it. So in the sneaker community on the channel that I usually watch, which is Roscoe, and Roscoe's YouTube channel has a nice little community, and somebody else in that sneaker community I was talking with over Instagram. I was DMing. And I was saying, because they know I was a weatherman on television, so they were saying, instead of the MNVN, this one guy, which is Blessed BM, I think, a CM, Blessed CM, and then I'll put a little link up there for him too. But Blessed CM, he said there's one shoe that is better, which is the 700 V2 Geode, which is this particular one here. And no, this is not a reflective sneaker, the rarer ones. This just has reflective paneling along the three-stripe, the Adidas logo, three-stripe there on both sides. Now this is what's called a dad sneaker, just because it's chunky. But that chunkiness also makes it a very durable sneaker. This midsole is very thick, and I can't even really bend it. It's very solid. And it has the more traditional, it looks like it's a normal sneaker. It doesn't look like a Yeezy. Just because it kind of looks like a standard shoe that's a little bit fancier versus the other sneakers that we've been through so far and the sneakers that we're going to keep going through. But this is a bit more weather resistant, is the idea. Because it has a very thick bottom, very thick midsole, and it has a lot of leather along the top, with just a little bit of suede at the front. But this shoe was a bit more weather resistant. So this is my bad weather day Yeezy. This is what I was intending. So if I'm doing a weather report outside and I have to be wearing some sort of Yeezy, it's going to be this, because in the rain, this would be fine. In wet ground, this would be fine. By no means is this an outdoors shoe, but this is just where if I'm just going about my normal day and it's not a good weather day, this is the sneaker that I would wear. I would not intentionally wear this out into the wilderness. There are very special sneakers that, or boots even, that you would wear for that. This is just for your average run-of-the-mill day that just happens to be a bad weather, rainy day, for instance. This is a really cool shoe. The colorway is called Geode because it's supposed to look like a rock, thus the kind of weather resistance part of it, rock-like. And I do kind of like that. It does still have the full-length boost from the heel to the toe in there. It's not the most comfortable. It's still a more comfortable sneaker than my previous years of shoes that I've worn. But it's not the most comfortable just because that boost, that squishy foam that's in there, it's encased in this really thick outer midsole material. So it doesn't have a lot of room to give. That's why it's not the most comfortable Yeezy, but it's still more comfortable than a lot of like average $15, $20 sneakers out there. So that's why this is in there. And this is also a special one because this is the only Adidas Yeezy sneaker that I did not get from Adidas and Yeezy. This sneaker came out last year, and I bought this through StockX. Now, StockX, you can use it two ways. You can just use it as a market for the sneaker industry or anything that's high value, like there's PS5s and Xbox Series X's on there, but on StockX, it's basically a sneaker market. You can see the value of the sneaker, and you can buy. So I bought this through StockX. I do feel a little bit bad for the guy I bought it from because the value of this went down. This retailed for $300, and I bought it for $250. This was $50, basically a $50 sale is what I bought this for. Brand new, $50 off for a Yeezy. That's really good. So this is a really cool shoe. Again, it is comfortable. It's just not as comfortable as like the top line up there of the Yeezys, which I feel is either the squishiest would be the 350 V2, or it would be overall the 380. This is still up there. I still have not tried either the 700 V3 or the 700 MNVN of the 700 line. So I don't know if those are more comfortable than this V2, but still, overall this is pretty comfortable. And the insole, it's ortholite. So it's designed to be a dad shoe. Old feet, old men dad shoe. So that's why there's an ortholite insole. It actually says on it Adidas, Yeezy, and ortholite right on there. So it is designed to support the foot in different areas under like the ball of your foot, midfoot, and then the heel. So this is a fairly comfortable shoe. Not the most comfortable, and it's a very durable shoe. So that's what I was looking for with this. Durable sneaker. The only one that I have bought through StockX and the only Yeezy out of all the ones that we're going to talk about in this video that is not bought from Adidas.